there, it's Christy with the Chirp YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about proprioception. Proprioception is one of the lesser known sensory modalities, and it involves any sense of pressure to the body. So the kind of sensation that you would feel to your joints, your ligaments, your muscles, your tendons. Those kind of body parts are going to be the ones that feel the proprioceptive input. So if you imagine what helps you to feel the sense of pressure, obviously things that squeeze you, things that sit on top of you and push on you, things that squish you a bit. You might notice that a child needs more proprioceptive input if the child is hiding under the couch cushions, if the child is trying to get you to push on her head, if the child is wrapping herself up in blankets or wrapping herself up in the draperies in your house, if your child is crashing into walls, crashing into people, falling to the ground and crashing on her knees. Ouch. All of these sorts of things are signals that a child might need more proprioceptive input. If you hadn't noticed, by the way, this video is part of a series that I'm doing on sensory supports for the home. My goal is that you as a family member, or maybe you as a teacher, can recognize some of these sensory seeking behaviors and then begin to explore meeting them in more appropriate ways. As I always say, please do get professionals involved if you suspect that a child in your family or a child in your classroom or wherever might need some extra sensory support or extra help in any area of development. It's very important to get help as soon as possible because the sooner we intervene, the less development we have missed, so the less catching up we have to do. Now, let me say that the person who does the help in the area of sensory things is usually an occupational therapist. However, it needs to be an occupational therapist who is especially trained, postgraduate school training, in dealing with sensory issues. Most occupational therapists do not have a solid background in sensory disorders. So please find one who is sensory smart. I'll put a link down below to a place you can seek a sensory smart occupational therapist. My videos are to help you in case you can't find one or while you are waiting to get in with a good one. Okay, I have described the sort of behavior you might see in a child who has a need for more proprioceptive input. Now, how can we meet it? As I always suggest with sensory seeking behaviors, it's a great idea to implement what we call a sensory diet. This has nothing to do with food. It has to do with sensory meal times spread throughout the day where the child can fill up to the brim on the sensory behavior that she really needs more of. And therefore, at the other times during the rest of the day, she maybe won't be doing some of those behaviors that seem kind of strange, the sensory seeking behaviors. If I have 15 minutes in the morning where I'm giving my child lots of proprioceptive input, and I'm doing that also right after lunch and right after school and right before bed, perhaps in the meantime, she won't be crawling under the couch pillows to try to get that pressure. Perhaps she won't be wrapping herself up in the curtains or asking you to squeeze her head because she's getting those needs met in those chunks of time that are spread throughout the day. How are some ways that we can meet these needs during those sensory meal times? Well, trampolines are fabulous for this. The kid is jumping. I suppose I should do it like this. The kid is jumping on the trampoline, getting all sorts of pressure to all of those lovely bones and ligaments and everything in the legs. If your child is willing to go running with you, take your child running. Running is a great way to get more proprioceptive input. Also, you may consider child burritos. So take a blanket or a towel, roll your child up in that burrito as tight as you possibly can, and allow your child to stay like that. Maybe you can put some tape to keep the towel on, or maybe you could just allow the child to hold it on herself, or maybe you can hold the towel on her. It's a nice sense of being swaddled. This sensory modality is very similar to swaddling for very little babies. It does help their sensory system calm down. We know now that children who were born via C-section rather than having descended through the birth canal are more likely to have sensory dysfunction. There is something that happens during natural birth where there is a certain amount of squeezing that happens at just the right time and just the right angle that helps set the sensory system. This happens with the vestibular sense, which we haven't discussed yet. This happens with the proprioceptive sense also, as far as we understand that kids who don't get that squeezing in the birth canal are more likely to have sensory issues later. So if at all possible, please don't schedule a C-section just because it's convenient to you. It's not the best option for your baby for lots of reasons, unless there is no other choice. Of course, we want you to be safe. We want your baby to be safe. If you need a C-section, please get one. But beware that you might want to be looking for some of these things later. And also you might want to do a little bit of investigating about the gut microbiome, because children born via C-section also do not get their gut, their digestive system, correctly set up with the right kind of bacteria, and they tend to have lots more problems later in life with digestion. One of the things that's recommended, though this seems really gross, is that if you have a baby via C-section, take some of your vaginal secretions and put it either on your nipples or in the baby's mouth, because those secretions have some of your gut bacteria in them that the child would have gotten by going through your birth canal. And the child needs those to be able to build her own healthy gut ecosystem. Also, you might want to consider giving your child some probiotics, but obviously, please work with a good doctor in all of these circumstances. But those are some things to research and keep in mind, as long as we're talking about C-sections, which is totally not even on the topic of this video today. But it's interesting and I thought helpful. Some other ways to get proprioceptive needs met. Try heavy blankets, weighted vests. Try squeezing your child's head, squeezing your child's hands. That feels really nice. I love that. Try a body sock. A body sock is made of a material where it's a sock, a big sock that fits a person inside. You put it over the child's head. The child can see out, but we can't see in. And the child also can push in every direction and feel the resistance of that fabric, which provides that input to all of the pieces of the body that need to experience more proprioceptive input. Those are really fun. A lot of kids like them because they feel like a little superhero in there. They can see out, but we can't see them. And also they can stretch in every direction. It's very fun. Try chewy tubes. A lot of our kids who chew on stuff constantly actually need more proprioceptive input. That's a good cue to provide more proprioceptive input, because when we bite hard on something, it provides a lot of feedback to the joints and muscles of the face, which is a very sensitive part of our bodies. So it makes sense that chewing on something can help calm a person. But if chewing helps calm a person, biting hard chewing, not just, regular eating chewing, but biting hard chewing, if that calms a person, then also probably some deep squeezes would also help calm that person. Some trampoline, some running, some body sock, some of those things would probably also help. I do think that if a child is chewing on stuff, that's a good place to start. We can start with chewy tubes, with chewy necklaces, with chewy beads, with all of those sorts of things. They also have bracelets. If you have a kid who happens to bite herself on the wrist, it's good to have sort of a Wonder Woman style chewy bracelet right there to prevent scarring and chafing and all of that, if the child does tend to bite herself right there as a form of proprioceptive input, or as just a behavior, just out of frustration. On the topic of chewing, I also recommend crunchy snacks. Pretzels, carrots, celery, radishes, all of those things are really great to provide more proprioceptive input for your kids. So every time there's a meal, if you have a child who obviously needs more proprioceptive input, make sure there are crunchy things in that meal. It will help. You also want to give your kid toys and jobs to do that are heavy, because lifting heavy things, pushing heavy things, pulling heavy things is a great way for your joints and your muscles and your ligaments and your tendons to all feel that extra pressure on them. So think about asking your child to carry heavy books around, put a lot of heavy things outside, maybe bricks in a wagon, and ask your child to pull it. I mean, make it playful, make it functional things. Don't just say, put these heavy books over there, or pick up these bricks and take them outside. Make it fun, make it a game, but try to get as much heavy stuff. We call this heavy work. Try to get your kid to do as much heavy work as you can. It's really helpful for these kids who need more proprioceptive input. I'm sure that now that I've gotten you on this train of thinking about proprioceptive input, that you can think up a lot of ideas on your own that might work for your child. I will put a list of some fabulous resources in the information box. Go down there, have a look, browse around, find things that are going to be helpful to you, to your family, or to your classroom if you're a teacher. And I hope that you are just brimming with ideas, excited to put them into practice, and happy that you watched this video today. Please click the little like button. Please subscribe to this channel and click the bell, the notification bell. That really helps YouTube know that people are watching this video and this channel and that it was helpful to you. So they do a little more advertising for us so that more families can find the supports that you have found here. I appreciate that. I'm not a money-making machine here on YouTube, as you probably have figured out. I'm just here to help you and to help as many people as possible understand their kids better and help support them in a more educated manner. So I'm thankful that you're here, and I'm grateful that we have a nice little community here. We can support each other and encourage each other, because life is hard sometimes, and we want to live it the best way we can. And we want to provide the best life we can for the kids in our lives who have different learning needs and developmental differences. I hope you have a wonderful day. I will see you in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.